This is the Red Podcast.
This is episode number 87. We're talking about selling with confidence. That's 90% of the game when it comes to making money, getting new clients, and keeping clients happy. We've got 6 ways for you to jump in with confidence. You can start them today. Coming up on this episode of the Red Podcast.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money, work less, and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
We had lunch with a mutual friend, and she's in the real estate business. She said something I thought was interesting, Laurel. She said, real estate is a very lonely job.
Oh, yeah, it totally is.
I think entrepreneurship can be as well.
Especially when you're a, quote, solopreneur. Well, when you're working for yourself and you work from home a lot of times, there's no one around. Your spouse isn't home because they have a job, and you're alone. It's lonely.
When you look on Facebook or Twitter, any kind of social media, these guys make it look so much fun.
Are you not having fun, David?
I have a great time. No, I like it. I'm an introvert, so this is all great to me. But it's interesting to look at the perception people have of entrepreneurs, and I think it's because of what they see on Facebook and Twitter. And everybody that they know, oh, he works on the internet. He just hangs out at the beach all day and collects money.
Yeah, we don't do that.
So I'm curious. I thought this would be a great way to open up this episode. What is it that you do for social interaction? Other than hang out with me.
For me, I really have to schedule things in because I don't go to a job and I don't have anything definite in my schedule a place I have to be, that I have to make room in my schedule to see friends, to go out with business colleagues, I obviously see clients. So I have that going on. That's not as social, but I add these things weekly into my calendar to make sure I get out and do things, and also going to the gym and things like that, where maybe you're not interacting with people, but you're around people, which is always nice.
Yeah. I got that advice a long time ago. Somebody told me to leave the house every day when you work from home. And that's been good advice for me. The gym, great place to go. There are always going to be people there. And you can interact with people even if it's not on a really deep level. Because even when you go to the grocery today, the automated machines, the gas pump automated, there's a lot of automation that keeps us from actually connecting with people.
Mm-hmm. But how much do you really connect with that store clerk anyway? That's my question.
I wrote an entire article on bigboldimpact.com about Kroger. And Kroger has a new initiative. The signs everywhere say, oh, we're glad you're here, the T-shirts. We're glad you're here. Happy to help you. And how these guys have no interaction with customers. I've actually asked them a question and just had them point without responding to me vocally.
I think it's just this one Kroger grocery store that you go in and they're wearing those T-shirts that you said that say, I'm happy to help you, or ask me for help. And then they completely ignore you. And you're like, what is going on? The irony that you are wearing on your shirt is hilarious to me.
We should do an entire episode about congruence in business, and that's an example of not being congruent. This is the Red Podcast. Red stands for Real Entrepreneur Development. We help you build an audience, sell more products, make more money. Our specialty, personality marketing, bringing out your personality and the personality of your products so you can stand out more and give people something to talk about. This episode, we're talking about selling with confidence. No confidence equals no money. You end up looking like that guy at Kroger who just points. You're not going to get money that way.
It is true. That is really one of the secret weapons of entrepreneurs is confidence. If you talk to any successful high-level entrepreneurs, you will find that they are extremely confident, and they're not just confident because they are where they are. Confidence is what got them to where they are today.
Let's talk about how we got started. Were you confident when you got started?
Oh, yeah. I was.
I was too, but a lot of it was because I didn't know any better.
Well, it's being naive makes you a little more confident.
With you, your first big entrepreneurial venture was a huge retail store.
That was my first full-time entrepreneurial venture, yes.
Not only a big store, but you had to fill it with merchandise. You had to buy the merchandise. Then you had to have people come in order to get rid of the merchandise and buy more. That's a pretty big thing. A lot of people couldn't imagine. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars to stock the store.
Oh, yeah. But I had confidence in myself that I could do it, because when you break it down, it's just a series of tasks that you have to accomplish. And I knew that being an engineer at the time, I knew how to, I could learn how to learn things. So they teach you how to learn whatever you need to know in whatever field. So I knew I could figure out how to do it. And once I figured out how to do it, I just took each step one step at a time and did it to the best of my ability. And because I was naive, I had confidence that I'd build it and people would come.
If you had to start a retail store today, knowing what you know now, would you be as confident going in as you were before?
I wouldn't do it. So that's...
For exactly that reason, right?
Yeah.
You know how hard it is. I think that's the same thing about me. Wow, I don't know if I'd start again if I had to all over again.
It's not that it's necessarily hard, but you learn so much along the way that it's just kind of an outdated model, the whole retail store in my case. So I just wouldn't go back there.
I think sometimes being naive helps, but you really do want to have that balance. You want to have the education, the knowledge before you jump into something, but also be willing to risk things.
And when you do jump in, you have to be confident. If you have a retail store like I did and people come into your store and you're not confident about yourself, you're not confident about your products, you're not confident about your location, whatever that is, your customers are going to pick up on that. And that's huge because you are the owner. You have to lead or guide this ship along its journey. And if you're at the helm and don't know where you're going and aren't confident you're going to get there, no one else is going to follow. Not your employees, not your customers, no one.
See, that's the big problem I see. And it's not just retail stores. We're talking all entrepreneurial ventures. It's like we go in with 50% effort. We're confident enough to start it, but not confident enough to complete the job. You've probably seen these sales guys. They'll knock on your door. They've got a product to sell, but they never get around to actually asking for the sale, asking the toughest question that there is.
This happens with a lot of coaches, life coaches, health coaches, people like that, where they go into maybe a free session that they're having with a potential client, and they're talking to them, and it's going well, and then they back down before the final action of selling the coaching.
Yeah.
And you don't make any money that way.
Yeah.
And it's because during that conversation, their confidence dwindles. They second guess their price. They second guess, does this person have money? Are they going to want to pay for my service? Are they going to want what I have? And all that goes on. You don't follow through with your final sale in the end, and you don't make any money. And confidence is what would fix that entirely.
Yeah, you can second guess yourself. And another thing that I've done in the past is I start picking apart the client. I say, well, they're not going to be helped by this because they're not ready, or they're not for me, or otherwise making excuses as to why I'm not asking for that sale.
Is that a confidence thing, or do you feel like you're sabotaging yourself?
Well, I would say it is sabotaging, but isn't that a confidence thing, or lack of confidence thing, rather?
You tell me.
Probably. But you know why I think that is because I've seen people that are too overconfident. It's like confident, maybe cocky is the word.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about being confident about what you do and what you sell, not being cocky like you're the greatest thing to hit this planet.
Well, part of that, I think if we take it back to being naive and jumping in, the guys I see that are the most cocky, now a lot of them have had success, and usually if they've had that success, it's come on very, very quickly. They haven't really had any kind of failure to humble them a little bit. They start thinking that it's them rather than, hey, right place, right time, I'm just getting lucky. I see guys that they just have this crazy confidence, but there's something about it. It's like, they're a little bit off. It's like they can talk a good game, but they can't really back it up, and you don't really know what they're saying. You met those kind of guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sometimes those guys can have a lot of success because I think people can be fooled some of the time. This is what my mom used to say. She said, David, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can fool your mother none of the time. And that's what I think of when I think about these guys. They can fool some of the people some of the time. The problem is that might get you in the door, but it's not going to keep you there.
So when you're thinking about this, think about being confident, being secure in what you're doing, and not gloating, not bragging, not being over the top and that guy that nobody wants to be around.
We've had a lot of these guys come through my work in the music industry because that is a business where flash and charm will get you a long way. And I'm not talking about the artists. Certainly artists have flash and charm, and this probably applies to them as well. But I'm talking about the business people. You meet these guys, and again, there's just something just a little bit off. And I think that's why you want to be confident, and that's why you want that real solid confidence backed up with education and knowledge and experience, because humans have a BS detector. We talk about that all the time on here. And if you tick that off, they might not know why they don't connect with you. They might not know why they're not hiring you. They'll just know that you're not the one for them.
I had a guy that I interviewed once, and he just said something at the end of the interview after we'd cut off the tape that just made me think, what is this guy talking about? He said to me, when I'm famous, when I become famous, I'm going to come back on your show and do this for you. And I'm just thinking, okay, that's
like
a little...
he's doing you the favor.
He was doing me the favor of when he becomes famous. And he was determined he was going to be famous because he had been on Dr. Oz. But he had been on Dr. Oz because he had carried out a prop to the stage, and they needed somebody to do that. That was his claim to fame. And he was going to come back on my show when he was famous. And things like that just tick people off a little bit. Like, oh, don't do me any favors there. So that's like the cocky element when you're a business owner. Instead of the confident element. The confident element is more, what can I do for you? How can I support you? You know, I know that what I'm doing is great, and I'm going to help you, kind of thing.
That's one of the reasons that I've never name dropped music business clients, because there are a lot of variations and a lot of levels in working with these people. Sometimes you are creating the plan that they use. Sometimes you're in the room and might have one or two suggestions. Sometimes you're just supporting a plan that's already in place. And I see the guys that take credit just because they happen to be in the room. And it just drives me crazy. But I think that, again, the BS detector goes off. You know who's real. Maybe not immediately, but if you get them in the door pretty quickly, you're going to find out about it.
Yes, and everyone wants to be around those confident people. So if you can be that person, you are going to have customers flock to you, and business partners and anybody out there, they kind of magnetize towards confident, secure people.
Remember when we got married? We're planning the wedding.
I remember that.
We're meeting with a caterer, and it got to the point where it was ridiculous. I think we were looking at china, or what color the napkins were, or something like that.
We had no china at our wedding, so we were
the paper plates we were using.
I was trying to decide on the napkin color.
Okay, so it was napkin and linen colors, and we really don't care.
We didn't care, but we had to make a decision.
Had to make a decision. There were like 800 shades of gray that we could have picked from, and varying colors on top of that.
I think there were only 50.
Hey, now.
I can't believe I throw you off with these little things in here. All right.
So 50 Shades of Grey, not the book, not the movie, but the linen napkin colors that we had to pick for our wedding. It got to the point where I think you and I just didn't care. And we were just, I guess, giving an overwhelmed look, or a look of, hey, we don't care, some kind of look. And the caterer looks at us and she says, look, we are a professional company. We are going to handle everything. It doesn't matter what color of gray that you pick for these linens, for these napkins. Just know that it is going to be handled. We do these events all the time. I've done 3 of them today already. It's going to be handled. And right at that moment, I was like, yeah, we picked the right woman. I don't have to worry about anything at all. And I think that that's the kind of confidence that you want to have when you're either getting a client or when you're working with a client, because clients are an ongoing process. And just because you get them, again, People can get in the room, but they're not necessarily going to stay there. And that includes you. So to be showing up like that every single time, letting your clients know that they are taken care of, it's not only going to get you the business, it's going to keep you the business. And we've told that story probably 5 or 10 times.
Think about the service providers that you choose as a consumer. Think about their level of confidence. You're probably not going to somebody who doesn't have confidence in what they do. For instance, a couple months ago, I had to find a new doctor, and I couldn't get any good recommendations from any friends, and I didn't have a current doctor. So I had to find somebody completely new, picked a stranger off the internet, didn't know anything about them, went into their office, was kind of nervous because I hadn't met this person. I didn't know them from anyone. And I told them my health problem that I was having that was getting worse, described it to her. She asked a couple questions and then said, Laurel, look, I am extremely confident that I can help you fix this problem. We're going to get to the root of it. We're not going to have to put you on medication. We're really going to solve the problem. Here are the things we're going to look at. We're going to narrow it down. This is the plan. And I'm sitting there like, really? Oh my gosh. And that's what you want in a doctor, someone that is going to hold your hand like the caterer did for us, David, and say, this is handled. I've got you covered. I am going to work with you until we fix this problem. That to me was huge. If she had come back to me after I'd explained my problem and said, oh, I don't know what to do here. I'm not quite certain. Then I would have gone and found another doctor that could help.
Yeah.
And she didn't have to be confident that she knew what the solution was because we didn't know at that time. But she was confident in her service and her ability to help me discover the solution to the problem. So that was where her confidence came from. And she did a great job. And my health issue was cured. And I've sent people to her. So it's a really great way to not only help your own clients by having confidence, but also allow your clients to refer their friends and family to you because you've done such a great job.
Yeah, it's a great way to get business. But don't quit 50% in. Don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle. That's what happens a lot of times. Again, you knock on the door, but you're not asking for the sale. People want to know what you're doing for them is being handled. And sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes it's just saying, hey, I'm going to stick this out with you. We are going to find the issue and we're going to solve it. It might take us a minute, but I'm in here with you however long it takes. So we got a few ways that you can jump in with confidence. And if you're looking just to jumpstart your confidence, if you're brand new, if you've been around a while, some of these you might have heard, some of them are going to be new to you. But if you're not doing them, there are things that you should be doing as far as exuding this type of confidence.
The first one is the elevator speech. And I don't mean just any humdrum elevator speech. If you want to come across as confident, as assured in yourself, then you need to have a killer elevator speech that explains clearly and concisely and interestingly what you do in 45 seconds or less.
Formula for that is I help people who are experiencing blank and blank to do blank.
Without blank sometimes.
If you want to add on to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I help people who aren't sleeping and are sluggish to experience a better night's sleep and more energy without drugs.
There it is.
That would be one. And if you're experiencing that kind of thing, you're going to jump in on that.
You have to be clear on what you're doing. And when you can clearly say what your business does in 30 to 45 seconds to somebody else, you come across as confident and knowing what you're talking about. And people are more likely to talk to you and follow up with you and work with you when you come across, as opposed to somebody who's like, well, I work with people and, some of them can't sleep. And so I just work with them to create better habits sometimes. And sometimes it's just, you can't do something like that. No one's going to want to know more about what you do.
Well, the confidence thing that we put in that example there is doing it without drugs. And I think having a unique selling proposition, that's going to boost your confidence because you don't want somebody to say, oh yeah, everybody's helping people with their sleep. How is it that you are standing out? And that was especially important for me as a brand new marketing person in the music industry when I started. I would go to music business conferences and I was hanging out. I was one of the few guys that was really online and entrenched in the online world. This is back in the mid-90s. Not a lot of people were doing it, and that's the thing that separated me out. People had heard of the internet, but they didn't know how it would help them. And being a young guy, not really experienced, looking back, not all that knowledgeable, but it really helped me to jump in because I knew about that one little aspect of marketing. And that's what gave me my break. It gave me my foot in the door and allowed me to grow in the other areas that I wasn't as strong in.
Well, what you're talking about is your unique selling proposition, is what makes your business unique. And that can give you a lot of confidence because right now there are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of other businesses doing something probably pretty similar to what you're doing. And if you can hone in on what makes your business unique, even if it's just you, whatever that is, that's going to help you speak to your clients, potential clients, and customers with more confidence because you know what makes you special.
Here's another thing. You've got to know your market. One of the things that separates this podcast, Red Podcast, from many of the other entrepreneur-type podcasts is that we are both in the trenches, both actively launching new businesses. Laurel's in the middle of a launch right now. Love Your Face, lyface.com, if you want to check that out. We are right there with you. Therefore, we're able to communicate with you and understand you and show empathy a lot better than somebody who's been removed from this several years over sometimes or has never done it at all.
We're pretty obsessed with business.
We live it, don't we?
Business obsessed.
And that's what helped me to start my music marketing career. I had been a musician before that. So if you've got that going for you, if you really know the market, great. If you don't, spend some one-on-one time. It's really easy just to sit down, get some phone consultations in. Even knowing the market like I do, whenever I start a brand new book, I'll do 20, 30, sometimes 41-hour consultations. Just me talking to people, listening to them, helping them out, finding out what they need. That gives me the new material for the book.
It is really important to know your market and to pick a niche market. A lot of times, say you're a coach, for instance, a health coach to be specific in this example, and you're trying to be everything to everyone. You're trying to help some people lose weight, some people to manage their diabetes, some people to reduce stress, and you have all these different people that you're trying to work with. You're probably not going to be an expert in any one field, and that's going to make you not feel as confident about what you do. But say you narrow it down to say, I'm just going to help people manage their diabetes. You are going to become the expert in that field. You're going to know a ton about that, and you're going to have the confidence that it takes to help people who are trying to manage their diabetes. Same with doctors. You don't just see a surgeon normally. You see a brain surgeon, you see a heart surgeon, you see a back surgeon, someone like that that can really specialize. And when you're an expert, when you're specialized in something, that does boost your confidence a lot.
Yeah, Papa John's, Pizza Hut, they don't sell hamburgers. They sell pizza. You want to go to a specialist, get more respect. They get more money. But as a specialist, if you know one thing really, really well, you're going to have more confidence. You're going to be able to sell better. You're going to be able to help people better. How about looking the part? There was a guy whose photo was going around just a few months ago. He was like a good-looking criminal. I think he'd assaulted somebody or robbed somebody or gun charges. I don't know what he had done, but it was violent enough for him to get in prison. But his mugshot looked so good. It was great lighting, good-looking guy. Going around, and women were talking about him like crazy. And looking the part, they were thinking, man, I can't believe that guy would do that. Sometimes looking the part is going to work for you like that.
So are you saying to be a good criminal, he really has to change his look a lot?
No, it's going to help him from getting arrested. And what it's going to help you to do, if you look the part, is to get more business. Let's go back to the doctor example. If your doctor had come in a Hawaiian shirt with like a lei around her neck, probably not going to hire her.
It's Casual Friday. I don't know.
You want that lab coat, the stethoscope, even if she's not checking out your heart. She needs to look like a doctor.
Exactly. You do need to dress the part, whatever that part is for you. If you're a yoga teacher, you're going to look different than if you're a business coach or if you're a tech guy, something like that. So, but you have to look the part for you.
Have you ever seen those guys in the gym and they're wearing jeans, working out wearing jeans?
No, I've never seen that. Why would you do that?
Exactly. It stands out when somebody doesn't look like they should. It's either going to work for you or against you, so make it work for you. You got to focus on your strengths, outsource the rest. Your doctor, for example, Laurel, she is helping to diagnose you. She can write prescriptions for you. But as far as lab work, as far as billing, that's handled by somebody else. Appointment setting, handled by somebody else.
A lot of times as business owners, we're trying to wear all the hats in our business. And that gets challenging. For instance, if you're trying to do your accounting, your financing, but you're awful with numbers in your business, that's not going to make you feel as confident about what you're doing. And if you can just hire those things out, what you're not good at, and focus on what you are good at, that's going to make you feel better about everything overall, which is going to help you do what you do.
If you have any questions or comments, you can reach me. You can reach Laurel at redpodcast.com. We've got other episodes there available to you. Laurel and I have something special for 2015. If you're interested in working personally with us, we are now taking applications for something we call Red 3X. It's part mastermind, it's part coaching, and it is part live intensive. We're going to connect you with 6 other high-level entrepreneurs just like you, help you to grow your business, have more freedom, live the life you want, and do it on your terms. If you're interested in that, go to redpodcast.com/red3x for more information and an application. It's application only. Not everybody will be accepted, and it may not be for you. redpodcast.com/red3x to see if it is for you. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on the next episode of the Red Podcast.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.